I had another experience as a teenager where my mom was a reporter for the Asbury Park Press. She really wanted me to get into a good college, and she put on some fake accents and called former classmates of mine to find out what they got on their SATs.
That's wild. Hi, and welcome to the Mom Comes, a stand-up and stories podcast. Whether you're experiencing maternity, matrescence, mommyhood, menopause, or even if you've become the matriarch, the Mom Coms, we've got you covered. I'm Holly Rizzuto-Palker, the producer of the Mom Coms. I'm Italian Catholic, and I'm married to a Jewish guy, so move over, Sebastian Maniscalco, because I'm raising 3 pizza bagels of my own. Laugh until you cry with the Mom Coms.
Hi, I'm Liz Alterman. When I'm not responding to what's for dinner, I enjoy reading, baking, and failed attempts at gardening.
I feel like after we did Caren Lissner's episode, we took the liberty of saying if kids pop in during the podcast, we're just leaving it in because
That's right. That's mom life.
it's mom life and like it has freed me. So if there's dogs barking in the background,
My cat's tail makes a
cat tail makes a
She's
cat.
over here. She's sleeping, so she's.
Oh, Bubbles, right?
Oh, what a good memory.
I don't know your kids' names, but I know your cat's name.
That's right. Thank you.
That goes with the brain fog, though. I feel like giving ourselves that grace is really going to make the Mom Comes podcast episodes super fun. So
And
kids pop in, they
relatable.
pop in.
That's right. Because I feel like when I go to listen to a podcast, that's when my kids are like, hey, do you know where this is? Do you know where that is? And then I'm like, I have to keep going back and rewind. Or same with an audiobook. So yeah.
You know how they're like magnets? Like, you know how they know when you get on the phone?
They do.
All of a sudden you're on the phone and it's mom. It's the same thing with the podcast. And I actually have a huge sign on the door to my office and it says, I made it. Podcast in progress. Do
Love it.
not disturb. Well, it attracts them in a way like a moth to a flame.
They're drawn. I know. It's so true. I saw you last year at the Montclair Literary Festival on the Books to Screen, and you were great. That with
Thank you. That was lightly attended. So I
Yeah.
appreciate your coming.
No, it was great. It was great. I went to college with Brendan Deneen.
Oh, yeah, he knows a lot.
Yeah, he's been around, and he's very generous about like helping, sharing his knowledge. So
Yeah, that's great. I try to be. I don't think anyone wants my knowledge, but
right. No, I thought you were great.
Welcome, Caren, to the Mom Comes Stand Up and Stories podcast. We're so excited to have you on today.
thank you. Well, I'm a mom.
And you're a calm. So there you go. So what I'm going to do is read a little bio so that our listeners know a little bit about who you are. And then we'll get into it. Okay, Jared, I texted you that I'm doing a podcast, so I need you to be quiet. This is having kids.
Here, I have to let my daughter in now.
We should just have all the kids on.
Is that you, honey?
Okay, so why are you back in the house? Just put them outside. No, come here. I want the dogs outside. I am so sorry. Caren Lissner graduated from the University of Pennsylvania. Her humorous first novel, Carrie Pilby, was adapted into a Netflix romantic comedy film of the same name, starring Nathan Lane and Saturday Night Live's Vanessa Bayer. Woo! She has published humor in the New York Times, McSweeney's, The Washington Post, and Parents Magazine. She has performed stand-up comedy in Hoboken, New York, and Philadelphia. Caren's working on a new novel, The Queen of Impossible Crushes, and a memoir. Welcome to the show, Caren.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we have here today, we have an excerpt from your memoir in progress, How We Became Homeless. It chronicles author Caren Lissner's coming of age as her mother descended into bipolar disorder from the 1970s through the 2000s, causing her mom to wind up homeless. Caren slept in a car with her mom at times as well. Growing up in New Jersey, Caren learned to rely on humor and hope to survive, and to ultimately try to stop her mom from sleeping on the streets in Manhattan. This excerpt is from 1986, when Caren was 15 and still in high school, right after her father left her mom and started dating. Take it away, Caren.
Oh, thank you. So this is just a short excerpt. My dad has a new girlfriend. He's 41. She's 28. She's young, blonde, and has toddlers. If this is serious, I won't want to deal with my mom's anger and questions. I hope they break up soon, but it doesn't look this way. We're going to meet her this weekend. Dad picks us up on a Friday in September in his black Chevette, and we head to the pizza spot near his apartment. The new girlfriend will meet us for dinner along with her 2 and 4-year-old. We've already met several of my dad's girlfriends, but they're usually closer to him in age, and most were named Linda. The best Linda was a teacher who had a sweet, freckle-faced girl who was 6, along with a 12-year-old boy, Gregory, who was even nerdier than I am. He flew into a rage if you called him Greg, and the only thing he ever wanted to talk about was TV networks, listing which channels were affiliates of ABC, NBC, and CBS in every single state in the country. No one mentioned any sort of spectrum back then because we lacked the language. My dad told me months after they broke up that he liked Linda a lot but didn't want to deal with Gregory's problems since he had his own. I felt a little angry that that was his reason. The newest Linda, whose name is actually Patrice, comes through the door of the pizza parlor wearing pink and white LA Gear sneakers, her blonde ponytail bobbing behind her. She's 13 years older than I am. Patrice is pretty except for her acne-scarred skin. She has 2 blonde mop-topped toddlers, a boy and girl. Her name seems tailor-made to outrage my mom if she ever finds out. Dieter. My mom is suspicious of German cars and German people. Her situational Jewishness comes out in the most random places. And now my dad had to go and date Teutonic Barbie, which will somehow wind up being my fault. We sit in the dimly lit Attilio's Pizza in Manalapan and chew our slices under red chandeliers. Central Jersey is rife with cozy family-owned pizzerias that are a step above takeout food, but not quite fancy restaurants. I enjoy them. Randy, get back here. I try not to look as Patrice chases her children around. My dad watches cautiously, a mix of amused and bewildered. Wait, there's a combination of those words on my sophomore vocabulary list, isn't there? Bemused. Patrice sets a pile of toys next to Randy's plate and chops his pizza into squares. I avoid her gaze. What am I supposed to call her anyway? I'm 15 and I don't feel comfortable calling adults by their first names. Is she Patty? Miss Dieter? Fräulein? Yes, Fräulein it is. How do you like school, Burke? Patrice Dieter asks my brother, sitting down. She sounds nervous. She keeps smiling at us, but doesn't know what to say. For a moment, I feel for her. How do you win over 2 teenagers who have absolutely no reason to like you? Good, my brother says. My dad keeps making funny faces to get the kids to laugh. I wonder if he misses when we were little. What do you like studying in school? Patrice asks my brother. Nothing. What about you, Caren? World War II. I look at my delicious thin New Jersey pizza and think the surface looks like her face. That night, we watch a VHS tape of Better Off Dead in my dad's apartment. On Sunday, he brings us home. My mom isn't inside on the couch like usual. She's at the top of the driveway, a sinister smile on her face. She's wearing a pretty pink button-down shirt and lipstick. She probably went shopping. I'm glad she had the energy, but I'm not sure about the smile. Does she know? I'm terrified my brother will tell her about Patrice. I don't intend to mention her until I have to. My mom simply watches us get out of Dad's car, watches the car back down the driveway, and doesn't say anything. What did you have for dinner? She asks as we drag our suitcases inside. Oh, I know. Pizza. Inside, she says, so what else did you do this weekend? We met Patrice, my brother says, shrugging as he drags his blue suitcase to his room. Neutron bomb. Who? Olivia Neutron bomb. Who's this Patrice? Silence. Who's Patrice? My mom asks again. I walk swiftly with my suitcase into my room. Who's Patrice? Who's Patrice? His girlfriend, Burke calls from his room, not thinking it's a big deal. His girlfriend? You met her? What kind of name is Patrice? She's not Jewish. I don't plan to come out of my room. I start putting my clothes away. Caren, who's Patrice? I place my dirty clothes into the laundry bin. Who's Patrice? I hear my mom in the doorway. Meg squeezes past her to run into my room, her fat, white, beagle body wiggling with joy. Who's Patrice? Mom says in the doorway. Meggie Weggie, good girl, I say, giving my dog a hug. Who's this Patrice? Mom says. Meggie Weggie, such a good girl. Who's Patrice? Meggie Weggie, want a tummy rub? Tell me who Patrice is. Gushy, mushy, 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 Meggie Weggie, glitchy, good girl. Who's Patrice, Caren? Now she's getting angry. Muggy wuggy doggy woggy, good girl. Tell me who she is. A woman. What's her last name? I don't know. You don't know her last name? He only calls her by her first name. Don't be fresh.
Yay! Great reading. Thank you, Caren.
I was really looking forward to hearing you read this. You have just such a strong, unique voice. And being from New Jersey, I felt like you really took us into that pizza shop, and all of your details are just so strong. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the visuals for me are super inspiring and like really brought me there. I guess that's why your other book became a movie, because you're good with the visual part of it.
Oh, thank you. That was a long time ago, so I hope it happens again.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yes, we did. We wanted to ask you, Caren, what was that like? Because I was saying, I've written a few books and I've only gotten to listen to the audiobook. I've never had anything made into a movie. And I've heard people say that until you're actually in the theater watching it on the screen, there's no guarantee it's going to come to fruition. So could you share a little bit about what that journey was like for you?
I've heard that only 2% of books that are optioned for film, meaning producers borrow the rights to try to do it for a year or 2 years or whatever. Only 2% get made, and that's of films that actually somebody pays money to try to make a film or TV show. So it's just dumb luck when one gets to fruition. There were 3 sets of producers that optioned my book over like 20 years, and the first 2 were big and paid a lot of money and didn't make the movie. Because
Wow.
the person who was interested, I think, left the company in that case. Anything can go wrong. I think Carrie Pilby, when it was made by 2 independent women filmmakers, I think it was being made for like $3 or $4 million, but that's still $3 or $4 million. So anything can go wrong. There are a lot of things against a movie coming out. They could get a big actor and the person has something else come up. Somebody gets sick. Somebody pulls out an investor. So I got lucky. These 2 women, one of them had seen the book when it first came out and always was interested in it. And this director, Susan Johnson, she produced and hadn't directed her own film. She was given the book by Suzanne Farwell, who was a producer who always thought about it, and they decided to make it their first movie together. And I got lucky, and piece by piece, they put it together. It was all timing. They raised money on Kickstarter. They paid a great screenwriter to write a script, and then they started getting cast based on the strength of the script. At any point, it could have all fallen apart. It all came together. The filming was actually 20 days, but it took years. At first, they were going to film it in Canada because it was cheaper, but the film takes place in New York City. So it was kind of magical, and I thought I was lucky because it's very visual. There were some very rich things added to the film that weren't in my book. Nathan Lane's in it, and there was a joke from the book that got taken out, wasn't in the script, and Nathan Lane had them put it back in. So
Wow.
Go Nathan Lane. Woohoo!
yeah, I was told that the director told the cast not to read the book because she didn't want them to start overthinking, but he went and read it because he's a theater guy and wanted to know everything about the characters. So he showed it to me. He had a copy of it. But I think the parts I like best in the movie are the ones I didn't write because it was hurry to get it published because it was my first book and I'd written 5 others that didn't go anywhere. And I was so tired of just reading it over and over by the time the movie came out. It felt very fresh when they added a joke or a character or whatever.
That's very interesting. It must have been so tenuous, the waiting. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, until it finally happens. But I was very lucky. I was very lucky that it got made and that it got made by a special team, especially headed by some wonderful women. And it's very gratifying to see your characters come to life. I think every writer dreams of that. What would my character look like in real life? So that was pretty neat.
Yes, my husband and I watched it probably years ago. We loved it. So and that's when I saw you on the panel. I was like, oh my gosh, I've seen that movie. So
I think it's fun for all ages. I mean, everyone can take something away because this character is nerdy and she has a lot to learn and we all can learn from her.
Well, with this memoir in progress, so I'm so interested to talk about this because the topic is obviously not a humorous topic. You're able to tackle it in this way where you bring humor. So why is that so important for you to tell this story that way?
Well, I've been a news reporter all my life. I've never made a lot of money, even from the movie. It's always a struggle, but I feel like what I want to contribute to the world, and I guess what I think I am good at is not many things, but I'm good at finding something complicated, wanting to understand it really easily, as confusing as it might be, and then wanting to find a way in as few words as possible and as clearly as possible to help others understand. That's what I've done as a local news reporter in New Jersey all my life for more than 30 years. So this book, which is not a novel like Carrie Pilby or the other novel I'm working on, this is a memoir. It's nonfiction. It's about my mom's mental illness. And in the 1980s, I don't think it's ever been easy for anyone to grow up with a parent descending into mental illness or has some other illness or addiction or whatever. But in the 80s, there was no one to talk to. There was no internet to get on at night and say, is it just me? What is happening here? I want to tell the story with humor so that people understand it. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to go to a depressing movie. I don't want to read a depressing book. Life can be very depressing and a struggle for many people. And I want people to want to read it. And there are ways to find humor and light in the darkness. Even my mom used to love Broadway musicals. She was a teacher. She had a degree from Rutgers before she started thinking everyone was out to get her and started sleeping on New York subways. And so I want to be able to tell this without depressing everyone. And there is light and love in the story. And I also think I haven't read, and maybe you have, I haven't seen a good memoir from our generation, from Generation X. And there might have been a few, but there aren't enough. And maybe that's because maybe there's another generation that still kind of has a chokehold on everything. People say that to be a woman and get your memoir published, you have to have had like a drug addiction or been famous or whatever. I do have some celebrity encounters in the book, but I think we need to tell the side of so many of us who are struggling with something in silence. I want people to not be depressed, but to feel like, oh, now I understand, and maybe they'll feel better about their own struggles.
I agree totally with what you're saying, Caren, that this was something that people didn't talk about. It was just kind of like, hey, my dad's in a bad mood or my mom's acting weird.
Right.
Like, let's hope maybe they have a drink and we'll just go outside. So I think you're really just in the writing circles that I've been in. I think there are people who now that we're in our 40s or 50s are able to identify, okay, they were really going through something, but we didn't have a name for it. So we just kind of like stayed out later and hoped things were better when I got back home. So I think you're going to have a really huge audience for this. In a way, just you kind of bringing humor to it reminds me a little bit of Jeanette Wall's The Glass Castle, kind of just smart young person encountering like, how do I deal with this family dynamic?
I appreciate that. Yeah, people have mentioned Glass Castle in relation to this, but I don't have a publisher yet. I'm still finishing it and trying to get it to be as good as I can. So hopefully, there's no guarantee, but hopefully I have something different to say.
I think that you use a lot of comedic techniques in this chapter or excerpt that you gave us. Like, for instance, you do a callback. In comedy, we do callbacks to a joke that was done earlier in the set. You do that with the last name Dieter. I thought that was great. Does that just come naturally to you? Is it something you've researched to actually write in this way, or how does that work?
I have also written a lot of humor, so it does come somewhat natural, but I think it feels better to be able to write with some humor. You need distance to do it. I don't think I would have been able to write this a year after it happened. And it's the situation kind of lends itself to humor once you get distance from it. I had another experience as a teenager where my mom really wanted me to get into a good college, and she put on some fake accents and called former classmates of mine to find out what they got on their SATs. She was a reporter for the Asbury Park Press, and this really happened.
That's wild.
Yeah, like I can't make that up. That lends itself.
I could see that happening today, Holly. How about you? Some of these suburbs?
I may or may not have done it.
I think she was ahead of her time. My mom really scares me in like a white collar crime way. When they put out those signs that are like, please congratulate Jared, headed to Harvard. My mom's like, these families are so stupid. You could just call and say, I'm from Harvard and we haven't gotten your deposit for Jared's dorm yet. Can you fire it too? And I'm like, oh my God, like, is she looking for bingo money? What's left?
Yeah, I feel like this is a sitcom, like scheming moms in there.
Your relationship with your mom through all of this, did it have humorous moments, or, how was that?
Yeah, it did. In this situation, it wasn't that great. My mom, we lived in a few different towns in central New Jersey, and my dad eventually left. And eventually my mom ran out of money because she never really figured out how to spend properly. We lived in car. I would come home from college in summers and sleep in a car. And sometimes she would have enough money for a bungalow in the Catskills because they were falling apart. So I think the nice thing is that even though she had some mental illness, she could be normal. She really wanted to be a good mom, but she just was so angry. She thought I was lying to her about stuff that I wasn't lying about. She was funny sometimes too, and there were humorous moments and sometimes nice moments, but it was just very hard to deal with because I wanted to get out of that situation. I wanted to work and be independent and never live in a car again. I would say, did you pay that bill or did you do this or that? And she'd say I was being too whatever. She'd come up with some word and put me down instead of understanding that I didn't want us to be in this situation.
It sounds almost like you were the mother a little bit and she was the
Yeah.
child.
Yeah, sometimes.
How has that relationship affected your relationship with your own children?
Well, there are things I've learned. I think we all learn. My mom passed away about 2 years ago. She actually ended up living pretty long and ended up getting some help along the way. But so my kids met her, but they were a little scared of her because she would be very angry sometimes. And I wanted them to understand that people can be mentally ill and still good people or have various challenges because I want them to go into the world and be kind to people. But there was one thing she used to tell me way too much about her life and her struggles. And there was a long time when I was little, I believed a lot of the things she said that weren't true. And so one thing I don't do with my children is I don't tell them all my problems if they don't need to know. Because children don't have independence. They can't go call someone, they can't get help. So you're taking someone who's trapped and putting them in a position to be your emotional sponge. And parents aren't perfect. So sometimes we have to cry in front of our kids or tell them some, but I don't burden them with my problems, and there hasn't really been anything they need to know. But I want them to, have a childhood, and I don't mind if they're a little innocent.
Yeah,
Not very anyway. Now they have the internet to see worse things. I'll never tell them.
I know. This world that we live in. I mean, I was just able to hold my youngest, who's 12, off from getting a phone until like almost 13. And
it's very hard because everyone's got one.
And that's the problem. Here is this question we ask everyone at the end of the interview. If you could keep one joke and you had to get rid of all the other jokes, what would that one joke be?
That's hard to suddenly come up with one. I always do say that I'm at the age where my two biggest fears are that I won't live to be 80 and that I will live to be 80.
I get that. I feel that.
I have to make it 90 though. I should probably make it 90 because now I'm almost 80.
You're not almost 80. Stop it.
We're a little closer than when I thought of the joke, but aren't we now? If anyone likes this style of writing or wants to know more, reach out to me via my website. I have a little forum, or find me on Instagram. I love taking photos is a hobby of mine. So I got a lot of New Jersey photos.
Oh, cool.
That and winter, spring, summer, fall, nature things. I love the seasons.
It was so nice to get to chat with you, Caren. It was so lovely.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Caren. I'm looking forward to reading your book.
Thank you for listening to the Mom Comes Stand Up and Stories. We hope that you laughed free of interruptions from your kids. This episode has been edited by the amazing Brianna Avenia Tapper. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter on Substack for more information about the Mom Comes. The link is listed in the show notes. Oh, and check out our website, themomcoms.com, where we list information about our shows. See if we're performing in your area. Don't forget to subscribe to the Mom Comes Stand Up and Stories wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Bye.